Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ben. I'm very excited today because today is the day that I am going through my tiered list, my rankings for the greatest, most impactful Charlotte Hornets players ever. So let me get this out of the way first, a little caveat. I'm only specifically talking about players who played in Charlotte. So those guys that played over there in New Orleans, you know, the team that left Charlotte to go to New Orleans, they don't count. Now there are some guys on this list that started out in Charlotte and moved to New Orleans. That wasn't their fault, but I'm not including players who only played for New Orleans. I'm including players who played for Charlotte, either the Bobcats or the Hornets specifically. So the four-tiered system that I'm going to be placing players into: at the top, legends, then heroes, game changers, and then simply great. But I'm also going to be going through the players in order based on my individual ratings. So I came up with this little 5-star rating system. It's weighted based on talent and impact. So let me explain what I mean by impact. Hornets lore, where do they factor in there? The impact on the organization that they had during their time here. Longevity with the team, and impact on overall team performance. So before I get going with the guys that made it onto my 4 tiers, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the one player that I put in my honorable mention category, Bobby Phills. Most Hornets fans are familiar. If you're not familiar with Bobby Phills, he was a 6'5" shooting guard, really solid, built like a linebacker. Really good shooter. Coming out of college, that was what he was mainly known for, but he really turned into a pretty amazing defender as well in the NBA. He was a defensive stopper. He was a really solid player. In his 3 seasons with the Hornets, he averaged about 13 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds. Of course, the story of Bobby Phills is definitely an unfortunate one. About halfway through the 1999-2000 season, he was tragically lost in a car accident. And, you know, he certainly left a great impact on his teammates and coaches and on the organization and the city of Charlotte as a whole. It was really devastating at that time and just shocking when it happened. The Hornets ended up retiring his jersey and hanging it in the rafters. And if you go to a Hornets game today, you can still see his jersey hanging up in the rafters in Spectrum Center. So a special shout out to Bobby Phills. Okay, so now we're going to get into it. So the first category, the first tier in my rankings is simply great. So these guys, they didn't play for the Hornets or the Bobcats for a very long period of time, but they were such good players that there was no way that I could leave them off of this list. So coming in at number 19, we have Jason Richardson. Talent, I gave him 4 out of 5 stars. Impact, I gave him 1 star. So he's a 6'6" shooting guard, an absolute freak of an athlete. I mean, if you remember watching those dunk contests that he was in when he played for the Warriors, I mean, it was amazing. He did dunks that I had never seen before up to that point, and I've never seen since. Jason Richardson is solely on this list because of talent. I mean, he only played 1 full season for the Bobcats, but that 1 full season he averaged almost 22 points per game, led the Bobcats in scoring, and also led the NBA in 3-point field goals made. So if he had played for Charlotte long enough to qualify, he'd actually sit 4th in Charlotte history in points per game at 20.5. Great player, really talented scorer, freak athlete, which is why I gave him 4 stars for talent, but only 1 star for impact because he only played here for like 1.5 seasons, and those were not winning seasons. The Bobcats were really bad. You know, good player on a bad team. But yeah, Jason Richardson, 19. Next up, coming in at number 18, we have Eddie Jones. Talent, I gave him 4 stars. Impact, 1 star, so very similar to Jason Richardson. 6'6" shooting guard, extremely good defender. One of the best in the league during his time. Great shooter and slasher on offense. To this day, he still sits 1st in Hornets history in steals per game at 2.8. He's top 10, he's 8th in points per game for the Hornets at 19.2. So during the 1998-1999 season, which was a lockout shortened season, he was traded to the Hornets from the Lakers. You know, they had a guy named Kobe, so I guess they felt like they could move on from Eddie Jones. So the lockout shortened season that he came over, he started 30 games that year for the Hornets. He came in second in the league in steals and was named to the NBA All-Defensive Second Team. So again, extremely good defender. His best season with the Hornets, definitely 99-2000, which was his one and only full season. But man, he had an amazing, amazing season. Led the team in scoring, averaged 20 points per game. Led the league in total steals and steals per game. He was voted a starter in the All-Star game. He was named to All-NBA third team and his third straight All-NBA defensive second team. The Hornets were good that year. They made the playoffs, and he had a big impact on that for sure. Again, I gave him 4 stars for talent, 1 star for impact, only here for 1 year. Can't have a ton of impact when you're only here for 1 year, but Eddie Jones, great player. Moving on. Number 17, Stephen Jackson. If you never watched Stephen Jackson play, man, he was a beast. So talent, I gave him 4 stars. Impact, 1.5 stars. Real quick, Stephen Jackson, 6'8" small forward, very, very versatile player, prolific scorer, really good shooter, shot creator. He had a post game, he was a good defender. He actually ranks 5th all time in Charlotte history in points per game at 19.8. The 2009-2010 season was definitely Stephen Jackson's best season with the Bobcats. He led the Bobcats in scoring at 21.1 points per game in tandem with Gerald Wallace. He led the Bobcats to the franchise's first playoff appearance, which I remember vividly as an exciting year for Bobcats fans. And he actually finished tied for 12th in league MVP voting that year. So, I mean, he had an amazing year, definitely had a big impact in the short time that he was with the Bobcats, which I believe was 2 full seasons. But that 2009-2010 season was definitely his best. Again, I gave him 4 stars for talent and 1.5 stars for impact. Next up, our last player in the Simply Great tier, Anthony Mason. So Anthony Mason, I gave him 3.5 stars for talent, 2.5 stars for impact. So Anthony Mason, 6'7", 250 pounds. He had a similar build to Larry Johnson. So he was that undersized, power forward. He wasn't as athletic or dynamic of a scorer as Larry Johnson, but he could put the ball in the basket when he needed to. He averaged 16 points per game his first year in Charlotte. Great rebounder and defender, averaged a double-double his first 2 years in Charlotte. To this day, he still ranks first in Hornets history in triple-doubles, second in minutes per game at almost 40. So, I mean, this guy just had a motor. He did not rest. Third in rebounds per game at 10, and 7th in Hornets history in total rebounds. So he played for the Hornets for 3 seasons, missed 1 season, full season due to injury. After winning 6th Man of the Year for the New York Knicks in 1995, before the 96-97 season, he was traded to the Hornets for Larry Johnson. Ironic. His best season was definitely the 96-97 season. The 96-97 Hornets, probably one of, if not the best Hornets teams that we've had. That team won 54 games, had guys like Glenn Rice, Muggsy Bogues, and Vlade. Del Curry was still on the team at that point. Really, really good team, and he was a key part of it. That season he recorded career highs in minutes played at 43.1. 43 minutes! He played 43 minutes a game. 16.2 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, and 5.7 assists. Led the league in minutes played. Again, he had an unstoppable motor. That season he was also named to the All-NBA third team, pretty huge, and the All-Defensive second team. Anthony Mason, 3.5 stars for talent, 2.5 stars for impact, and that completes our Simply Great tier. All right, so we're up to the next tier, Game Changers. There might be some controversial choices in this. I'm going to be interested to see what people's thoughts are, so definitely leave your thoughts and comments. Coming in at number 15, Emeka Okafor. Talent, I gave him 3 stars. Impact, also gave him 3 stars. Overall, 6 stars. 6'10", 250-pound center. First draft pick in Charlotte Bobcats history. That in itself is huge. He was selected 2nd overall in the 2004 draft. And that's a tough spot to be in, being a star rookie, first of all, but also a star rookie for an expansion team. He lived up to the hype though. That rookie season, he was great. he averaged 15 points a game and 10.9 rebounds, which was actually 4th in the NBA that season. He was a double-double machine. At one point, he had 19 straight double-doubles during his rookie season. Went on to win Rookie of the Year. Well-deserved. He was just a great rebounder and rim protector, and he could score when he needed to. He still ranks first in Hornets/Bobcats history in total rebounds at 3,516, first in rebounds per game at 10.7, third in blocks per game at 1.9, and he's top 10 in minutes played and field goals made. So, I mean, the Bobcats never made the playoffs during his 5-year tenure, but Okafor definitely performed well, and I think was worthy of where he was drafted. He established himself from the start as being worthy of the number 2 pick, and I think was a great first draft pick for the Bobcats. Funny enough, in 2009, after 5 seasons with the Bobcats, he was traded to the New Orleans Hornets. But Emeka Okafor, 3 stars for talent, 3 stars for impact, putting him at 6 overall. Coming up next on our list in the Game Changers tier, we have What Up? Ha! Didn't see you there. Well, hello! So that's going to be it for part 1 of the greatest, most impactful Hornets/Bobcats ever. So in part 2, we're going to be finishing up the Game Changers tier and moving on up to the Heroes tier. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched all the way to this point. I really appreciate it. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. And you know what? Do yourself a favor. Hop on over to part number 2. I'll see you there.